No, they didn't cover it. But the parts they covered were meaningless. You know, about the Republicans saying the a-hole thing, or even, I think,
Bush being a crackhead.
Yeah, or the truthers, to me, shows that he is unstable and whatever. But that's not even the scariest part to me. What is it? What is it that they're missing?
Well, I've done some thinking about this because, you know, we put up a lot of clips of Van Jones. You probably got sick of them because you couldn't even keep track.
I know.
But I remembered something that Charles Krauthammer said last week. He said this debacle is a reflection of the boss, right, and his radical relationships over decades of Obama. And I really started to focus on the deep parts of this when I heard Barack Obama's close advisor, Valerie Jarrett, praising Van Jones.
Let's play that clip. Here is Valerie Jarrett praising Van Jones.
How many of you guys know Van Jones? Van Jones is... Ooh.
This is his house, apparently.
Van Jones, all right. So, Van Jones, we were so delighted to be able to recruit him into the White House. We've been watching him really for, he's not that old, but for as long as he's been active out in Oakland and all of the ways that he has, the creative ideas that he has. And so now we have captured that, and we have all of that energy and enthusiasm in the White House. And
she likes him. And, you know, a lot of people, they might have seen Valerie Jarrett and they're like, who's Valerie Jarrett? I didn't even know who Van Jones was.
Right.
Even some decent news junkies who know who Rahm Emanuel is and David Axelrod might not realize that Valerie Jarrett is kind of like one of those Karl Rove or Karen Hughes kind of figures.
The New York Times said that she's instrumental in all policies, but she's fingerprintless.
Yeah, they put her on the cover of the magazine at Obama's BFF. So I thought here, you know, for purposes of illustration, let's take a look at relationships, like a political genealogy. Is that a fair?
Yeah.
And I brought a little show and tell.
Okay, good. I said dumb it down for me. You go ahead and take it up to the chalkboard. Okay. Your theory is Chicago is central. I believe Chicago is central when it comes to corruption, which is what we're up to. But you're going in a different direction on not just corruption.
Yeah, let's just look at how did Van Jones come to happen? Why did he seem, as Krauthammer said, perfectly mainstream to these people, right? When we know, you don't need me to go over all the things he said that were radical.
Yeah.
So just looking at Valerie Jarrett and how she came to admire him. Now, Valerie Jarrett has big street cred in Chicago. In fact, they call her Chicago royalty.
Okay.
So we're going to do a little royal family here.
All right.
This is not Pam Key over at Naked Emperor News, who's a contributor on our BCast show. She's a great illustrator. So we've turned Valerie Jarrett into a princess. So we're going to make her the princess here.
All right.
All right.
Now she's best friends with Michelle and Barack.
Well, I think that's important because it's, you know, I mean, do you really see Rahm Emanuel and Michelle Obama hanging out talking about the J. Crew collection?
No.
No, she's the one that hired Michelle Obama in the mayor's office in Chicago back when Michelle was just engaged to a guy named Barack Obama.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So you look at her and you say, well, if she's, you know, Chicago, you know, royalty, what do we know about her? Well, that's her mom, Barbara Bowman, and this is her dad, James Bowman. Her mom, Barbara Taylor Bowman. Taylor is the grandfather. He was an architect. They named one of the biggest housing projects in Chicago after him. Now, Valerie Jarrett's a lawyer, a businesswoman. She was running a real estate development orchestration. Barbara Bowman was an educator, child education specialist. A lot of history here in education, in housing development.
Okay.
Now, Barbara started an organization called the Erickson Institute. They needed a chairman of the board. So they got one. We're going to put him right here. You're kind of the godfather of Chicago politics.
Where is he from? What is he?
Thomas Ayers was the CEO of Consolidated Edison, and he was involved in all kinds of causes around Chicago on the board of Northwestern, and very involved with Barbara on the Erickson Institute.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let's see. If she's the princess, and we're going to make him the king, and then we need a prince.
What is the
James Bowman is Barbara. I'm going to come back to him. James Bowman is the father.
Okay.
Now, I said Thomas Ayers is the CEO at Consolidated Edison. Did that name ring a bell? Yeah,
is he
exactly.
The
father of Bill Ayers. Now we have a prince, right? This is the Bill Ayers who teaches at the University of Illinois, the Chicago campus, long associations. This is the one, it was the meeting in his house where Barack Obama launched his political career.
Got it. That he didn't know that he was even part of the Weather Underground or anything.
No, Bobby should be sure not.
Got it.
Now,
Any doubt that Valerie knows Bill Ayers?
It would be
real well.
Very hard to think that they did not.
Okay.
Now, you look at this generation and this generation, and as I said, these are long relationships.
Yeah.
And they mean something.
Got it.
Because you even look and you say, Valerie Jarrett, her father-in-law, put him up there, Vernon Jarrett, pioneering black journalist, columnist for the Chicago Tribune. But when you go way back, when you go back to the 40s, when he was writing for the Chicago Defender and was involved in backing a lot of very socialistic causes, or causes that were even dominated by communist groups at the time.
Okay.
And in fact, he was on a committee, a labor committee, that was very dominated by the communists. And there was another guy that was on that committee with him. His name is Frank Marshall Davis. In fact, he also...
Whoa.
Are you clear so far? Are we good?
Whoa, yeah. Hang on just a second. Frank Marshall Davis, the mentor of Barack Obama.
Well, now you get it.
The communist.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let that sit there for a second, and we'll be right back.
Show and tell.
Yeah, it's show and tell time. Here we go. This is Valerie Jarrett, best friend of Michelle Obama.
And very close to Barack Obama for a long time.
And loves Van Jones. Says we've been watching him for years.
Exactly.
Got it.
Back to Oakland.
Got it. Okay. This is her mom.
Her mom. Right. Very educator, very involved in
lefty.
Well, you know, clearly, and you know, on the very concerned about education in the inner city. And her father, a doctor, distinguished. In fact, he was a doctor in Iran when she was born, and he was working with the government over there. She spent the first 5 years of her life, you know, in Iran. Now he's involved with an investment group. Oh, there's all kinds of relationships.
Okay, good. And this is her grandfather?
This is her father-in-law. Valerie Jarrett's father-in-law is Vernon Jarrett.
And was he a card-carrying communist?
No, he hung around. He hung around a lot.
And this one over here is Frank
Marshall Davis.
A communist, card-carrying communist.
You know, I think there are people that have accused him about that, and you can argue, but he certainly liked hanging around with him, and he did a lot of things, right?
So he had a big FBI file, if I'm not mistaken.
The key here is he leaves Chicago, moves to Hawaii.
Moves to Hawaii.
Right.
Yes.
So when the young Barack Obama shows up in Hawaii, his grandfather, Obama's grandfather, takes him to hang out with Frank, and Obama writes about this in his book, going over, and, you know, his Frank and his grandfather would share a drink, and you know, they'd tell stories. And this was important because he not only became a mentor to Obama, but how, you know, Obama went to Chicago. Why did Obama just plop down in the middle of Chicago?
Right.
He writes about, in his book, about walking the streets, the neighborhoods where Frank Marshall Davis used to work. It was kind of a wistful section of Obama's book. And you realize, holy cow, Obama didn't just show up like a kid with, you know, no apparatus, he had a big support structure, right? And there, yes, radicals of different generations. We actually, I think we might even need a jester. I'm going to put Jeremiah Wright over there.
Right. Yeah, he's funny.
These people had dreams, they had plans, and in a sense, Obama did become their sort of knight in shining armor. And through the Woods Fund, Project Vote, Annenberg Foundation, all of the cumulative effort of decades, they were able to equip him, and we put this together with sort of the armor of experience and the shield of connections and the sword of fundraising.
Right.
And what's interesting is you realize that Van Jones once said, "I'll give up the cheap satisfaction of the radical pose for the deep satisfaction of radical ends." And there were at different generations more radical poses. But as the poses went away, the goal, the ends, did not.
Are you suggesting that Valerie Jarrett, that William Ayers and Barack Obama are really brothers and sisters in the same kind of family of thinking, just different angles?
And when you think about it, these dreams have come true now with Barack Obama, especially in that they have Valerie Jarrett standing there with him, watching over it all.
That the connections, not only here, but also to all these radicals in San Francisco, in New York, all around, they just permeate the people all around. And if I have one person from the former Soviet bloc or Cuba or Venezuela tell me one, I've had 1,000 tell me the same thing. What is wrong with you Americans? We had to read between the lines. We had to listen to the language. If you listen to the language of the people that surround the president, it's all about de-development and social justice. That is the code language of whatever it is you want to call it now, radicalism, or it ain't capitalism.
No, you're absolutely right. And there are